On Friday, the 27th day of December, year of our Lord 2019, welcome to the John Moore Show. Prepper tip of the day will be after we do the Pledge of Allegiance, which I think is becoming more important every day. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now we get to the prepper tip of the day. I want to encourage all of you to inventory your library. We do a lot of things at the end of the year. Might be a good time to inventory your library, determine what you've got, what you need, and fill in the gaps. That would be a really smart thing to do. I get most of my books these days from Amazon.com, by the way. All right. Typically, Tom Berryhill calls in the first hour on Fridays. He has not called in yet. And if he does, we will bring Tom on board, and we'll be talking about emergency communications. We hope to have Dr. Lynn Wilbert with us hour two. We shall see. I had a concern, and apparently quite a few people share my concern about one of the things going on with the impeachment. Donald Trump, our national government, has to do with Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Apparently she has stage 4 pancreatic cancer. It's typically a death sentence. I don't know how long this woman will live, on one hand. On the other, the people that are against us, the Democrats, Socialists, Muslims, Communists, they know that one more Supreme Court nomination put in place by President Donald Trump, and they're finished, they're done. And he'll probably do 2 more, most likely. That's, I believe, what's behind the machinations going on there in Washington, D.C., the articles of impeachment not being submitted to the Senate, the Congress, the House of Representatives is attempting to somehow, some way, delay, stop, prevent Donald Trump from appointing another Supreme Court justice, which he will. They won't be able to do that. Looks like we have patiently waiting in the green room my friend Tom Berryhill. Tom is a gentleman who began a quest more than half a century ago to become quite knowledgeable in anything and everything to do with ham radio, emergency communications, and we will be talking about emergency survival communications. Good morning, Tom.
Hi, John. Good morning. How you doing today?
Really good, sir. There's a lot of very disturbing articles being published about the possibility of civil disorder and so forth. I'm looking a lot at Virginia myself. We've been talking the last couple of weeks about the state of Virginia. I'm absolutely convinced at this point that the governor of Virginia could care any less about firearms and confiscating firearms. What his real goal is violent pushback. I got a report last night, Tom, that patriots in adjoining states that touch Virginia are prepared to help their brothers and sisters in their adjoining state of Virginia, if need be, and that would be an armed response. Of course, most of the sheriffs, I think about 3/4 of them in Virginia, have already publicly stated they will be forming militias to resist unconstitutional laws. The pushback from the governor has been proposed legislation that would cause any law enforcement official not enforcing his anti-gun laws to be fired and not eligible for rehire for a year. That's their pushback. Point being, Tom, we have a lot of ham radio operators in Virginia and nearby states. I want to encourage those ham radio operators to reach out to their local chiefs of police, their local sheriffs, and make sure that the sheriffs know that they're available as an asset to help the sheriff, to help the chief of police, if need be. One of the things I expect to happen, Tom, would be the governor of Virginia to disrupt communication so the sheriffs couldn't talk to each other, the chiefs of police couldn't talk to each other, and it would make them far more vulnerable. So, Tom, we're going to talk about ham radio and encouraging people in Virginia to get up to speed also while they can. We don't know how much time we've got. It may be only a matter of weeks, but people need to reach out and find their local ham radio clubs in Virginia and get active, don't they, sir?
Well, yes, they do, and I just don't know how. I don't know how the governor would shut down or interrupt communications with the various county sheriffs. I guess they could try it. I think they'd have a lot of trouble doing that, John. But the ham operators could provide communications really in a very rapid manner. Most of the time, these men and women are well-versed on setting up equipment under difficult circumstances, and they can get radio systems on the air pretty quick to set that up. But then of course the FCC would not allow the ham operators to provide communications for the regular daily use that the sheriff would have. I don't know how well that would work out, John, because they're not really licensed to.
Well, the FCC does have provisions that in time of emergency, the sheriff can get help from ham radio people to do things they normally can't under normal licensing. When lives are at risk, the FCC does have provisions to allow ham radio operators to transmit in frequencies they never could otherwise. And if they've got the sheriff on their side, they're good to go, Tom.
Well, there's some truth to that. I'm just saying, though, that their day-to-day duties, traffic patrols, if they have anything like that going on, I don't think that would be considered an emergency. That's where the gray area starts, because the FCC, they would step in on that, and they will allow the hams to do some communicating on an emergency basis. This has to be a pretty bad emergency, and also there has to be no other. Their regular communication channels have to be totally shut down. If there is any way that they can communicate by other means, they'll have to do that first. I've looked at these laws, and you can interpret it many different ways. That's the problem. I guess it remains to be seen what will happen with whatever does go on in Virginia.
Well, it does. Now, in Missouri, there is statewide communications that the sheriffs make use of. I don't know who has control over those statewide communications. If it's the state of Missouri, the Missouri Highway Patrol. Do you have any idea yourself?
Well, several years, maybe 10 years or so ago, they stopped using the Highway Patrol stopped using their low-band 42 megahertz system, where they had very wide range coverage. That's why they had the longer antennas on all the cars. Those are quarter wave whip antennas. They were about 6 or 7 feet long, and they had tremendous range. But they shut that system down, and they call it MOSWIN. I don't remember what it stands for, but they interact with all the various agencies, and somehow they have all of that interconnected. For instance, in your local area, if the Highway Patrol is operating in that area, they'll go through the local police department, or in most cases, the sheriff's department. They'll use the sheriff's radio system, and they'll be dispatched by that sheriff's department. So they're all interconnected in that manner. I don't know to what extent. I've never really studied it that close, although the whole system is described. It's all online. You can read up on it. I've just never had a huge interest in what they were doing as far as all the systems being interconnected. But then I also know that they had, I've talked about it several times, John, on your show, the single sideband HF systems that they have installed in nearly every county. Years ago, they were just getting started on it when I saw the first one in the city of St. Louis. But almost all the counties have them, and probably every county in this state of Missouri has that system by now. And it's they're licensed up to 1 kilowatt of power, although the units I've seen were Motorola Micom radios, and they were 125 watt radios. But they're single sideband, and they can transmit on a regional basis, hundreds of miles. But I think the idea is for them to be able to communicate from county to county and to Jefferson City, the state capital. So What they're going to use that for, I don't know exactly. But I think I also mentioned on your show that I've seen the HF dipole antennas on top of Department of the Highway Department buildings. And you look at the building in the southwest corner of Highway 141, and I think they call it Interstate 64 now, Highway 40, 64, going through St. Louis. Look in that southwest corner. Look at that building up on the hill, and you'll see the HF dipole on the roof. So they're putting these systems in everywhere, and that's one heck of a backup, because if their local VHF, UHF systems go down, they'll be able to use that HF system and talk anywhere they want, even on a nationwide if they need to.
The reason I brought that up, Tom, because most of the 50 states are probably doing very similar things. That's what we've seen. Sometimes several states get ahead of some others, but typically they all move forward with similar technology at about the same time. Point being, in Virginia, I don't know what they're doing in Virginia because I'm not there, you're not there, but there's a high likelihood Virginia has a similar system. Now, that would be controlled by the state, which means by the governor. And that's my point, is that in a severe crisis, the governor would seize control of anything he had authority to seize control of. And in this case, he'd be seizing control of a very foundational part of communications used by the police to communicate with each other. The situation in Virginia could spin wildly out of control next month. Next month is next week, by the way. It'll be 2021 this time next week, or 2020, excuse me. And all you folks in Virginia and nearby states, you need to be on your toes and make sure you stay one step ahead of the governor, that you know what's going on, why it's going on. Reach out to your sheriff if you live in Virginia, or your chief of police. Let them know that you support him and in his efforts to maintain his oath of office. And once again, learn and find out where the local ham radio club meets once a month. Typically, it's going to be in a restaurant. Usually they are. Could be in people's homes. A public library, could be anywhere. Get to know these men and women. This crisis is looming in the state of Virginia. It's very real. It is a clear and present danger. It's not some flight of fancy to understand that this whole situation could spin wildly out of control and become a violent matter of civil disorder. It's just a matter of weeks. And the better prepared you are going into it, the better off you are, right, Tom?
Well, that's true. In any of these situations, you always need to be prepared for anything, as things could change in a moment's notice, especially over in that neck of the woods. You know, John, anybody that would want to research their state, or any state for that matter, to see if they're operating on any of these HF frequencies, and that would be for really bad emergencies where everything's wiped out, they can look on the FCC website, their ULS, Universal Licensing System. They list every licensed transmitter in every state and U.S. possession. So you can easily research that, and you can search it by zip code, by state, by city, anything like that. But the best part is you can research it by frequency. So you could put in a lower frequency and an upper frequency. If you put in 2 megahertz, that's right above the 160-meter ham band, and I've not seen any operate lower than that, but typically 2 megahertz to maybe 10, 11, or 12 megahertz, and just search out your state or whatever area you want to search, that your geographic area in that frequency range, and you'll find any licensed system in that range, and all those state systems will show up. So it'd be kind of interesting to do some of that and just see what's in your area. Anybody that has any interest should take a look at that, and then make up some sort of a chart with those frequencies listed. In the event there's an all-out emergency, you could listen to those on a shortwave radio, but you would have to have single sideband capabilities, a regular AM Some of these smaller shortwave units don't have single sideband capabilities, and that renders that radio almost useless because most of the heavy-duty communications will be by single sideband and data. So if you want to listen to their data transmissions, and most likely those would be encrypted because it would be very easy to do that. The radio equipment doesn't care what data you feed to it, so you can encrypt it with the computer systems themselves and then just transmit that digital data through the radio, and I'm sure that's what they'll do. But there's a chance that some of it might be wide open, and you could really get some valuable information to find out what's really going on. Any of their voice communications, though, that could also be encrypted. I've listened to some of these on the shortwave spectrum, and I've not heard any encrypted yet. It's also of interest that the ham operators in recent years had some discrete channels. Rather than frequency bands, we had channels in the 5 megahertz region. And those channels, you have to have very stable equipment and dial into the exact frequency. You don't just tune around and start transmitting where you want like all the other ham bands, but you're on these specific frequencies, and they're shared with government agencies, state, federal, and they have priority. So if any of the government stations come on, the ham operators have to vacate those channels, but you can sit there and listen to them. And that might be one of the safest areas to be operating your radio equipment in that frequency range, because if they ever tried to jam communications, they're not going to jam their own channels or their own frequency bands. So it'd be very difficult to jam the shortwave spectrum anyway, I believe, because of international law. If they started jamming whole bands, that would cause interference with other nations, too, as it carries so far.
That would be a problem. We have a break. The call number is 800-313-9443.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Back. J.R. Moore here on Friday. It is Friday, the last Friday of the year, December 27th. We're already planning our next Caribbean cruise, which will be February 2020. The current Caribbean cruise, well, I think we still have some cabins left. If you want to go on this first Caribbean cruise with John Moore and Leon Green, the John Moore Patriot Symposium Cruise, check out the details at my website at thelibertyman.com and give our cruise director a call. That's Betsy Murphy. Betsy's telephone number is 636-530-9502. We'll be planning an Alaskan cruise also, July of 2020. Betsy Murphy will be working with me on that. We don't have any details yet, but we still have some cabins available for the next one coming up in just a few weeks. This is Emergency Communications Friday morning. We talked to Tom Berryhill about emergency survival communications, encourage people to incorporate this knowledge into their base of knowledge and become a ham radio operator, get the equipment, get the skills, so that whenever an emergency comes up, it could be an earthquake, volcano, hurricane, tornado, flooding, ice storm, whatever it is, that you're prepared to help your family, help your neighbors, help your community to get through it. That's the purpose of ham radio, isn't it, Tom?
That's why ham radio still exists to this day, is because it provided a ready-made supply of radio operators, mainly at wartime, and it was probably not as important today as it was in past years as to supplying radio operators. But back in those days, everything, so much of the military traffic was Morse code and radio teletype, and these ham operators knew all about that stuff. So their training methods were probably shortened. They could get these guys to work right away, and they didn't have to learn Morse code or any of that. They were ready to go. So I know during World War II it was a big deal. If you were a ham operator, boy, they pulled you right in there.
That's right. In times of war, things happen very quickly, and I know that they'll make, they being the government, the military, they will make exceptions. For example, if you're a well-qualified surgeon, they don't care if you're 70 years old. You're certainly eligible to be a surgeon in the U.S. Army during war. And we hope we don't find ourselves in that situation. Of course, we don't know what the future holds. But licensed ham radio operators can save a lot of lives during a crisis, during an emergency, can't they, Tom?
Yes, they can, and they do, and it's been proven in many of the hurricanes and bad storms we've had in recent years. The ham operators will jump into their work mode, and they'll get in there and help out as needed. Sometimes they just need some help to do some mundane tasks that just needs to get done, but sometimes they need, these agencies need actual communications if their systems are down. So it's a valuable resource, and many of the government agencies take advantage of that. So that's why ham radio still exists, though. Otherwise, it would have been gone 100 years ago, John, it would have been long gone.
Right. Well, we see it every time there's a major event, hurricanes, for example, with Hurricane Katrina. We had ham radio operators in downtown New Orleans that could talk to the outside world when nobody else could. Literally, nobody else could, except maybe some of the TV affiliates who had a satellite truck at a high spot that wasn't underwater. But that's been the case and will always be the case, isn't it, Tom?
Yeah, that's true. What happens so often with these hurricanes is the law enforcement agencies lose their towers and their communications, so their systems can't even talk across the street because so many of them use repeater systems. Some of them very sophisticated, and that equipment gets damaged, and until it can be repaired or come out from under the water, it's not going to work, and they have to rely on backup mode. Sometimes very difficult for them to communicate at all. And I know in Houston, in that last hurricane there, that they had a lot of trouble with the communication. So I don't know if they relied on a lot of the hams. I listened personally to a lot of the traffic coming out of Houston, and there was quite a bit of it. Several emergency networks set up, and they were carrying a lot of traffic and trying to help people get in touch with family and friends in outlying areas, other states. So they were on HF frequencies doing that, and I'm sure a lot of the VHF and UHF systems were in use locally, so they could communicate on a local basis. But these ham operators, they know what they're doing, and when the equipment needs some adjustment or needs to be repaired, they do it themselves, whereas the police departments, fire departments, they don't work on that equipment. They have to wait for the radio shop to take care of it. Some very large agencies will have their own radio department, but otherwise they contract it out, and they have to wait for those people to get there and fix it. So they're doing without for long periods of time.
Send the Crown Vic out to get the person. We got a break. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
It is Friday the 27th of December. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's thelibertyman.com. We've got some new things there if you haven't been there in a while. We've got the President Trump's letter to the Speaker of the House. This is a historical document that will be studied for many decades to come. He really lays it out there in sufficient detail to demonstrate how the Speaker of the House has not performed properly, shall we say. And of course, also my website, something that will help most of you out there. Most American adults have issues, one or the other. That would be either arthritis pain or not getting a great night's sleep. That's where the energy cleaner comes in. I'm shipping out 2 of them today, some mattress pads to go with them. I ship these all over the country, all over the planet. Energy cleaners help. If you have arthritis pain, it will help. Would you want to sleep as good as a small child every night like I do? Well, simple. Get yourself an energy cleaner. That's all you need to do. Details at my website at thelibertyman.com, where you can place your order using PayPal, MasterCard, Visa. You can call my toll-free R line to place your order for your energy cleaner and a mattress pad to go with it. That toll-free R line is 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. This is a time we take every week to talk about emergency survival communication with Tom Berryhill, and we got a caller on hold here. Jerry's taking a break from feeding his goats, and good morning, Jerry.
Good morning, John and Tom. Enjoy your show as usual. Tom, I'm trying to build me a 6-meter cubicle quad, and doing a lot of research on it. If I remember correctly, you said you built one once upon a time. Is there a way you can configure that thing so it's you can have dual polarity, I guess, or circular polarity, like we've talked about a time or two?
Well, I think you could. You'd have to experiment with that some. I think there's some designs out there. I've not looked into that myself. The cubicle quad I made had 2 elements. They were vertically polarized. That was about 1968 or 69. That's been a long time, Jerry. And we used to use bamboo poles. We'd get bamboo poles from the carpet companies. You know, they would deliver carpet and carry carpet with those bamboo poles. We'd get those things and paint them with polyester resin, fiberglass, and then put those together to form the large X that held the wire, that formed that. It's a type of beam antenna. They work very well, and that's what I use. And I had it on a telephone pole about 40 feet tall, something like that. And that's what I was using. It was on the 15-meter band. I don't remember the exact formula for how long to make the wires, and I never did experiment with vertical and horizontal polarization where they work together at the same time. Depending on what frequency you're on, 6 meters, you might have some benefits from doing that, but sometimes you almost have to have separate antennas. But antennas are a whole area where a lot of experimentation goes on forever. The ham radio operators never stop experimenting with antennas, and they try to get something that'll work the best for their situation. And I would encourage you to do the same. You might have to look into that and see what others are doing. I don't know. I just know in the broadcast industry that we would use a lot of circular polarization. And they did it, a lot of times they did it with dipoles just wrapped around and then the ends twisted up. And there were many different designs for that, but I think if you looked up high-power broadcast antennas, do an online search for that, and just see what they're doing.
Okay, that's one avenue. Yeah, I have looked for those, and I probably have seen them in pictures and what. I might have seen them on towers, radio towers. Never knew what I was looking at. But what I found online, I have not been satisfied. That's what you have referred to. And I got to thinking, and of course that's dangerous for me, and I've been told not to do that several times, but why couldn't you make, maybe design or position that cubicle quad where it could be polarized both vertically and horizontally? I want a 2 meter and also a 6 meter and maybe a 10 meter, but 2 meter, there's a push here in this area to do 2 meter sideband. And, of course, everybody's old school, I guess, if you will. No offense to anyone. Everybody wants to do a horizontal. Buddy and I have done vertical single sideband on 2 meter, and things can work really well. But then it's omnidirectional. It's not, it's kind of hard to have a beam like that unless you build a Yagi or a cubicle quad or something, then it'd work. But I was just curious if you had built one for dual polarity. I think I found something online addressing that. I haven't spent enough time to really read it, but I just thought that might be an avenue that I could play with.
Well, like I said, experiment with it. Try it out. You could almost have 2 antennas side by side, one horizontal, one vertical. Maybe you could mix the elements together and feed them. You'd have to feed them with some sort of a wiring harness that would adjust the phasing. You'll have to do a lot of experimenting with that, Jerry, and that's where some of these antenna analyzers, a vector network analyzer would really help. A lot of people do this and they use an SWR meter, and that's not going to get you where you want to be. You really need to analyze what's going on there, and I think you could put something together that would fill your needs, but you'll need that test equipment to really do it right.
I've got that on my wish list, as my daughter used to say. WHOOSH, whoosh. But anyway, okay. Well, thanks for your input. I just looking for somebody that had some experience, or I maybe had some experience trying to do polarization on a cubicle quad. They really fascinate me. Of course, that's what makes the world go around. Everybody likes something different. Excuse me. John, thanks for taking my call.
Okay, Jerry.
And Tom, y'all both have a good, safe weekend and New Year's.
Thank you, Jerry. Appreciate it. Well, we're getting some good information out here, Tom, helping men and women get up to speed locally, wherever they might be, to get equipment that will function during normal times, function during a crisis, and save lives and possibly save some property as well, right, Tom?
Well, that's true. And, of course, Jerry's looking at the technical side of it, which is important. Antenna polarization can be important at times, more so on the VHF frequencies. If all the units out there have a vertical whip antenna, then you need to match up to those standards and have something similar. Although you can mix horizontal and vertical polarization. I've seen it done, of course, and it will work. Sometimes the signals are degraded a little bit, but in the really, if you stand back and look at the big picture, it's best to have everything the same and have all the antennas the same polarization. It will help quite a bit.
Something that occurred to me, Tom, I know in California the state government is denying ham radio people access to the repeater locations that they've had for so many decades in great high spots. The governor of Virginia may very well take similar action if the state of Virginia has granted access to ham radio repeaters over the decades. They may withdraw that access in an attempt to help shut down communications. That's certainly a possibility, isn't it, Tom?
Oh, I would think so. If there are any government installations where there's ham operators, yes, they could easily do that. Just have them get their equipment out of there, or if it's that big of a deal, they might send their own people in to disable it and cut it loose and put it outside the building and tell them to come and get it. It's not welcome here anymore. I guess that could happen, John, and it wouldn't surprise me if they did something like that. That's why anytime I built several repeater systems over the years, and anytime I ever did that, if it was on top of a building, I paid the rent. I paid the monthly rent to have it there. And I had a lease, and usually it was for a 1-year term, and that way, that was my spot. I never did get involved in any type of a government building or anything, and usually they don't want anybody up there with their equipment. I'm surprised California even allowed it. And so I don't know if they have things like that in Virginia or not, but personally I never did it. I didn't feel comfortable with that type of thing. I'd rather have, and a lot of ham operators, these clubs, they want all that for free. I've always paid. That way I had a lease, and they could kick me out of there, I guess, at the end of the lease term, but I never had any trouble with it. And a couple of those systems were up for many years, and they worked very well, and I'd calibrate them and then maybe check them once every 6 months or so. And otherwise, they operated around the clock and had no trouble at all with the landlord or with the equipment itself, and it worked pretty good. But putting your equipment on a government building or tower, I don't think that's a wise move nowadays.
Well, I agree. And if you're in Virginia and you've got any first-hand knowledge, first-hand reports that you want to call in and give us an update, we certainly would welcome that here at Republic Broadcasting at 800-313-9443. The world is watching. The country is watching the events in Virginia. This kind of popped up out of nowhere. What's going on in the State House and the governor's mansion in Virginia. And the anti-gun people are watching. The pro-gun people are watching. Constitutional and conservative patriots are watching. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. And we don't have long to wait. I think that whatever's going to happen will happen in the next 5 or 6 weeks, before the end of January, I believe. I might be wrong. And hopefully, cool heads will prevail and the governor will back down. If the governor attempts to enforce these anti-gun laws, I think there's a high likelihood of a violent pushback, Tom. And we, being the patriots around the country, we will come to the aid of our brothers and sisters in Virginia and help them get through this. And hopefully that would be something that would be contained only to the state of Virginia and not spread to other states such as New Jersey, Illinois, California, Massachusetts, and so forth, the other well-known anti-gun states, Tom.
Well, let's hope it doesn't turn into a major event. I just wonder how that governor could protect himself from his own people. You know, that wouldn't be a popular thing to do over there, John. And how could that governor think that his own people that provide his security won't just walk away?
Well, he's living in a world of his creation where he thinks he's safe, most likely. I don't know who his advisors are, what he thinks, what he believes. But, there's him being at personal risk is certainly an issue. And he's probably got advisors that are telling him that he is at personal risk if he moves forward with these things, and he may or may not be taking any precautions. I don't know. In Missouri, we have the Highway Patrol provides executive protection for the governor, and they do a good job. They're good guys, and they're well trained and well equipped. On one hand, on the other, there's an old saying, Tom. if you're willing to give up your life, you can take out anybody. And that may be what the governor of Virginia is looking at. That's a strong possibility.
Yeah, perhaps so. Hard to say. But I would just think if he really unleashes this thing, that some of his own people that are close by that provide security and their systems, they might just walk out, say you're on your own.
That's a strong possibility. As the old saying goes, you can always get another job, but you only get one life.
That's right.
Well, hopefully cooler heads will prevail. Now, if you want to get started with ham radio, there's a website. It was at arrl.org, Tom, I believe.
That's correct. Yes.
That's
the place to go.
That's Alpha Romeo Lima.org. That's the portal, the entry point to get started in anything and everything to do with ham radio, the American Radio Relay League, and that's everything you need right there. The study information, how to find your local ham radio club, how to find any ham in any zip code. Well, I'm not sure that's there at the FCC website, but regardless, everything you need to get started is right there at arrl.org, isn't it, Tom?
It's all there, and they have publications that will help you with learning the various things that you're going to need to know to get that first ham radio license, so that you can get in at an entry level, and that information's available. And then the American Radio Relay League has publications that go all the way up to a very intense technical level, and some of those publications are used in various universities for their electrical engineering departments. So it's really something what they provide, something for everybody there. So if you have any interest at all, that's the place to start.
Absolutely. Well, I just was at the website, and I put my zip code there, and let's see, we'll see if I can find a ham radio club within 100 miles. Well, it's not working for me. I'm in a pretty remote area. But most people will be able to find a ham radio club within a relatively short distance of their home, and reach out to that ham radio club. There's a bonus to belong to these clubs, and that's the following. You can get high-quality used equipment at very good prices. We have a break. We'll be right back.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcasts. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Back, ladies and gentlemen, J.R. Moore here, Public Broadcasting on Friday, the 27th of December. Tom, I redid that search. I put my zip code in there, and at the arrl.org section to find ham radio clubs, and a bunch of them popped up here. We got Eastern Ozarks, Current River, Ozark Mountain Amateur Radio Club, Pacific Merrimack Valley, and Jefferson County, and some more. one down in Rolla. So there's it's easy to do. It's easy to do. Find your local ham radio club, start attending their meetings, start training to get your ham radio license, and meet people of like mind. I would say 9 out of 10 people involved in ham radio have some level of interest in preparedness, wouldn't you, Tom?
Oh, that's really true. So many of these ham radio operators that I know personally and long-time friendships, they're all interested in preparedness, every one of them. And a lot of the new hams I meet at a ham fest and so on, they're talking about it, and they're very interested in that topic. So you don't have to look too far to find somebody of like mind, and you'll meet some really interesting people and make some really great new friends. If you go to any of the local ham radio clubs, I think you're going to enjoy the type of people you'll meet, and you can learn a lot, and they'll go out of their way to help you when you're getting started, so you don't have to make any mistakes right off the bat. Some of these men and women will come over and help you set up your antennas, make sure you're doing everything right, so you don't have to make some of the mistakes that they've made. You learn from your mistakes, but why do it if you don't have to?
Exactly. Well, we're on here every week, Tom, encouraging people to participate in ham radio, encouraging them to study to get their ham radio license, start attending their local ham radio club meetings. And we have what appears to be the luxury of time right now. That could be a complete illusion. But take advantage of this time we've got of relative peace to prepare for the future. Right, Tom?
I agree with that. This is the time to do it if you have any interest at all. This is the time to do it. If you only want to gather information during a crisis, well, then you should. If you don't want to be a ham operator, that's fine, but maybe you should at least get a scanner that will pick up the emergency frequencies of police, any type of law enforcement, fire departments, road crews, city governments. Listen to their channels on your scanner. A lot of it is digital modulation nowadays, so you'll need a scanner that's capable of that, P25 digital, DMR, and some of the other modes. You may have to pay attention to that, but I would have a scanner that does pick up at a minimum P25 digital. Some of that's encrypted, so if they do that, well, too bad. You're not going to listen to them. And then the other thing is a shortwave radio to get foreign broadcasts. If there's an all-out emergency, a nationwide thing, you'll get the best information from outside our own country. So shortwave radio is very handy, but I really feel that if you get the shortwave radio, spend a few dollars more and get one with single sideband capability so you can listen to the ham operators. That would be a very valuable source of information because they will be talking about what's going on in their local areas and get that out worldwide.
Tom, thank you. We'll talk privately soon. Appreciate it.
Thank you, John.
Okay, top of the hour break. Back to Dr. Lynn Wilson. Excuse me. This is the hour we look forward to every week when we have my friend, my personal physician, Dr. Lynn Wilbert, talk to us about health-related matters. Dr. Wilbert is a chiropractic physician practicing in his hometown and my hometown, St. Louis, Missouri. If you need a private consultation with Dr. Wilbert, just give him a phone call. His personal cell phone number is 314-495-6480. Good morning, Doctor.
Greetings, John Moore. What a privilege to be here again.
Well, sir, it's good to have you, and this will be our last show of the year. This time next week, it will be 2020. You have a son who's a
decade.
That's right, the start of a new decade.
Yeah.
Well, everybody has way too much tasty food, but you have a family member. Your son is a chef, so you probably get more than your share of tasty food over the last week or so, haven't you, sir?
Well, actually, John, has been going on for the last month. Thanksgiving was Thursday. It doesn't seem like it's a month ago, but it was. And he said he's cooking, and so when a chef invites you, I show up. Even if it's not my son, to achieve a chef level means that you have acquired a certain level of skill, culinary skill. And of course, I have my mom to thank for that because she taught all three of her boys to cook, clean, and sew. So I've always enjoyed cooking. And it verifies for me that personality is inherited. Because my daughters inherited my mother's, my wife's ability to sing, and my mother, and my son inherited my ability to cook. I mean, I just love blending. When I go into a restaurant and taste something, I want to figure out what it is. If I can't figure it out, I have to bribe the chef to get his recipe. Yes, I was there.
Okay, whatever it takes, right?
Yes, it's delectable. There's a restaurant on the river in Davenport, Iowa. It is the best seafood on the planet. I can't think of the name of it, but I will probably before the show is over. But if you're ever there, go there. The chef meets you at the door. He says in his loud voice, and he's real tall, about 6'5" or 6. Yes, we import shrimp from the coast of Norway, and they're so big they have to duck when they come in through the door.
Okay, all right.
But it's like eating a small lobster. The shrimp is so good. And so my key because this is, in my mind, it's like running a marathon. Now, John, we could probably get out and run a marathon tomorrow. It'll take us a little longer than usual. It'll take us longer to recover, as opposed to planning or prepping yourself for the marathon. You know, you get ready in 3 months and run a marathon. And so what I've been doing over the last couple of months at least is just slowly expanding what I eat. Now, what I eat is more whole organic food. I don't eat more of the nonsense until after Thanksgiving. I've relocated my office to the Central West End. It's Washington and Euclid, 4818 Washington. And in that facility is probably about 30 other wellness, community-oriented, service-oriented business people. And they brought in all of this sugar-looking, delectable cakes and stuff I've never had before. And I made the mistake of eating one. It's like a Lay's potato chip. You just can't eat one. I remember probably one of the last times I ate chocolates. Who's that guy? Dover or Russell's chocolates? You know, they're popular this time of year, and they have all the assorted kinds in there. And I'm in the house by myself, and I walk by. My favorite one is the chocolate caramel. I say, I want one of those right away. Well, I didn't get one. I got a chocolate strawberry something. It was really very good, though. Came back past it, looking for my caramel. Didn't get it. I ate the whole 1 pound box of chocolates, and the last 3 were caramel chocolates. And, of course, I had to eat those. That was a whole pound of chocolates gone in less than 3 hours, and I know I ate it because I was the only person in the house. I decided then I must control my taste for chocolate. It goes past that, but some people just have an addiction for sugar.
Right.
And by the way, sugar is the most deleterious, detrimental, harmful substance you can put in your body. Salt used to be for a long time, but then they came up with sugar and all forms of sugar, like high fructose sugar. High fructose sugar will fuck you up. It will mess up your metabolism to a degree where you won't know it's happening until it's happened. And the thing that medical doctors do, and one of the first things they do, is that they take a blood test. They sample blood, and they run the blood through and test it. Well, blood happens to be the last place that your body tells you there's a chemical or metabolic change. That's the last place. The first place is saliva pH, and urine pH does a good job as well. But blood, it really tells you that you're over the 50% line in whatever category that's elevated and out of range. That's a good place to start looking for the cause of your condition. No, it's not. But that's all they know. And so here I am infusing, every day. And I'm not a coffee drinker, but there's something about brownies and coffee that tastes so good. And the community manager at the facility, he makes a cold brew coffee, which is absolutely delicious. And so after Thanksgiving, for the last few weeks, I've had at least one dose of sugar practically every day, because I'm in the office every day, whether I see clients or not. And there's always some delectable little thingy, and I have to try it. I just can't help myself. I love sugar. That's why I stay away from it. And so this is Friday. I have been on a restricted food intake. Some people call it a fast. It's not a fast because I'm consuming minimal fruits and vegetables, zero sugar of any kind, whether it's honey, agave, organic brown sugar, it doesn't matter. Sugar is out of my food intake probably for the next 7 days as well, because I'm noticing a distinct difference. Because I cleanse like most people this time of year, but I don't allow cleansing to prolong. It's gone in 3 days. If it's not gone in 3, it'll be 5. If it takes me 5 days, that means I've brought out all the troops, and there's no way you're going to 7. Because cleansing doesn't feel good, but it's instead of a heart attack. What that means is you build up enough acid, chemicals, acid, the bad acid. I'm talking about the acid that you create from thinking. And second, the acid that you create from eating food that's not the best for you, sugar. That kind of acid puts a toll on your system, your metabolic system. And in fact, it actually revs your system up and then drops you off the cliff, and then now your metabolic system is slowed down. And so in order for me to hit 2020 at a fast pace, I've decided not to indulge in lots of food. I had soup yesterday evening, very little, no refined carbohydrates such as macaroni, pasta. I even took quinoa off the list for a little while, even though it's a grain and very low starch and high in nutrients. It's really good for you. I just took it off the list. And I must say I'm glad I did, because I feel better. I don't need to eat not one. I've had more sugar between Thanksgiving and now than I've had in the last 10 years. And there's no way I'm going to eat that much sugar again for as long as I live. That's the impact it had on my life. Now, what happens, John, is that people, their physiology tends to dull down. It means it tends to slow down as we mature. If you look at the metabolism of children, it's like, where do they get the energy? Well, they're growing. They need a high metabolic rate in order to grow. And one of the things that's unique about children is that they can practically instantly let go of a less than positive situation. See, we as adults, we learn to hold on to stuff as if it's good for us. Well, it didn't make you feel good, so it can't be good for you. If the thought didn't make you feel good, change the thought. If the feeling doesn't make you good, change the feeling. And if the emotion doesn't feel good, you certainly are obligated to yourself to change the emotion, or else you just picked up your pace going down the road to less than productivity, faster exit from this planet. And I'm sure not many people in their right mind would say they want to leave here. I don't care the condition that the world or planet is in. I don't know of anybody that in their right mind that would voluntarily, physically exhaust their life. That's just not, that's a mental condition. And so what your body does is respond perfectly to what you subject it to. In other words, we are perfect stimulus response organisms. I've mentioned this before in previous conversations. We are perfect stimulus and response organism. And this was my very question when I heard that. If we're perfect stimulus response organisms, what's wrong with my back? If we're perfect stimulus response organisms, what's wrong with my knee? What's wrong with my shoulder? Well, newsflash, there's nothing wrong. You've just been duped into believing that milk does the body good. One of the most poisonous things on the planet. You've been duped into believing that your body can do something wrong. You need something externally to fix it. That would be the medical profession, and they're very persuasive. I believe they go to charm, persuasion, drama school to get people to take medications for the rest of their life. Once they start taking them, now remember, you didn't take them before, but you start taking them now. So the obvious question is, why did you start taking them? The obvious answer is, you stopped making them. The next question, why did you stop making them? Ask your medical doctor that question and see what answer he can fabricate for you that sounds really good, that you would believe, and so you continue to take the medications for the rest of your life. You have a pharmacy factory inside your body called the pituitary. It's got two divisions, anterior and posterior pituitary. And it makes all of the drugs you need to sustain life for a very long time. What makes it stop? Well, drama. Drama creates interference. Stress creates interference. Thinking creates interference. Bad food creates interference. And when you have interference, the body has adapted to that and adapts perfectly. All the way up until the perfect response was a heart attack. Well, every condition you get, every condition you think you have, is instead of a heart attack. And so I tell my clients the first step to getting well is to understand that you're not sick. You're working on a different level of wellness. When I lecture to my seniors, I say, point to yourself. How many of you have told yourself, oh, I am so sick? And everyone in the room raises their hand. The two most important words on the planet is I am. Those are words of creation. When you say I am, you've summoned the genie called the universe, the law of attraction. When you say I am, the universe says your wish is my command. And that attraction shows up in your life that second, that moment, that week. It doesn't matter because time is irrelevant to the subconscious and to the universe. But it's on your radar off the coast of Africa, and you're barely picking it up. And here comes that I am request. Why am I so happy? Well, if you put the why, it expedites it. You get express shipping when you do why. Why am I so loving? Why am I so peaceful? And the universe says, okay, express shipping, here comes a peaceful experience, and you get to enjoy peace. So you attract into your life those experiences that you would love to have happen. Yes, that's the way it works. It's taken me over 30 years to even get close to figuring out how this works. If somebody had shared this with me when I was 20 years old, there's no telling what I would know now. But like most people, you learn nonsense. You learn stuff that doesn't benefit yourself or humankind. And then some of us, John, we finally figure it out that this is what we do. I do TMJ work in my office, and I've referred some to dentists when necessary, and dentists have referred clients to me with the TMJ. TMJ is one of the most complicated joints on the planet. It's the first movable joint below the skull, and it handles all of your stress. Clenching your TMJ, clenching your teeth and not chewing, means that you're about ready to knock the poo-poo out this bear. That's what we do. We clench our teeth, we ball our fists up, and we're tighten our buttocks, and we just before we knock the bear, even if it's an imaginary bear. The response is the same. Just ask the goblet in Ella Fitzgerald's commercial. Is it a live voice or is it Ella's voice? The goblet didn't know, but it responded as if it did a live voice. It could not differentiate. Your subconscious can't either. It can't differentiate between something you're visualizing, something you're experiencing right now in real time, or something you're pretending. I had a client to tell me, and this is a man, Dr. Robert, I don't pretend nothing. I live in reality. I say, that's why you walk bent over and you're so stiff, because you don't pretend. My first two girls, I have 3 children. In fact, she's here this weekend. She's 39, lives in Atlanta. with her 2 grandchildren. Cameron is 18 and Khalil is 13. I talked to him yesterday. I haven't talked to him in a couple of years. He goes, "Hi, Papa." I go, "Excuse me?" "Oh, is this Khalil?" "Yes, it is, Papa. How are you?" Oh, my goodness gracious. One of the most intellectual dudes on the planet. I balanced him when he was connected to his mother's umbilical cord. I balanced him for 20 minutes in the incubator. He's been getting balanced all
Hold that
night.
thought, Doctor. Hold that thought. We got a break. Phone number is 800-313-9443.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcast. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
All right, we are back, ladies and gentlemen, back to air. More here on Friday. It is the last Friday of the year 2019. My website is thelibertyman.com. That's where the details of our next Caribbean cruise are listed. This cruise leaves Sunday, the 9th day of February, returns a week later, Saturday the 16th. If you want to go on that cruise with us, well, give Betsy Murphy a call. It'll be a lot of fun. The John Moore Patriot Symposium Cruise. Betsy's telephone number, Betsy Murphy, our cruise director, 636-530-9502. Visiting with Dr. Lynn Wilbert, talking about health-related matters. If you've got a question concerning health, nutrition-related matters, give us a call at 800-313-9443. If you want a private consultation with Dr. Wilbert, we'll give him a call on his cell phone. He'd be glad to talk to you, 314-495-6480. Let's continue, Doctor.
All right, John Moore. I had mentioned a client that told me that he lived in reality. He doesn't live in pretend mode. Well, that's how children grow, is that they pretend. They don't hold on to things. They have this vivid imagination. And, my first 2 girls, I mentioned Lisa and Candace is 35. They had tea parties. Dad, come to my tea party. I look, I see you and dishes. I don't see a tea party. Girls, I got to go. My grandchildren, the first 10 years of their life, my granddaughter, she lived here, and so she was at the house a lot. And I attended every tea party that she had. To this day, she's 18 years old, and she still loves stuffed animals. Now, her daddy doesn't particularly like her carrying her little stuffed animals with her, but once I got the concept of what the stuffed animal did, this way you really don't have to deal with people because, your little stuffed friend is always going to be your friend no matter what. What a concept. I allowed her to, wherever, here, you want to take some more with you? Because my first reaction was, why do you have to take that little stuffed animal? We don't need that. See, our job as adults raising children, it takes a village to raise the children, is to nurture them, is to teach them, let them develop and explore. I told my daughter if I had to raise children all over again, I would never tell you guys no. She looked at me sideways, eyes got big, and she said, Dad, that's not how you raised us. Of course, Lisa, when you came along, we were rookie parents. The fact that we made it to the big leagues was remarkable. Now we got to stay in the big leagues as rookies. We didn't know. And then here comes round 2, and you guys are totally different. There are no manuals that come with raising children. However, I've successfully raised hundreds in my practice as well as my grandchildren and my children. I've learned. As a result of my younger grandchildren, I'm in the midst of writing a book right now. Why am I so happy? And the tagline is because I choose to be. Wow. I mean, you can choose to be happy just like you choose to be upset. Exactly. It's a choice. Life is a choice. Well, what choice do you make? Aha. Therein lies the million-dollar question. What do I do that's going to work for me? So one of the things I know is that what I do works for me. And I used to tell people, if you knew what I knew, you'd do what I do. And they would go, you arrogant, that you could see it in their face. They didn't have to say it. It was a bit egotistical, I must admit. But what I do works for me. And since you're a human being, being human, I know it'll work for you. It's the degree to which you implement. It's the degree to which you apply it. It's the degree to which you follow Nike's slogan and say, just do it. Well, I tried to do it. Well, you didn't do it. But I tried to do it. Let's have this conversation again. You didn't do it. So the try don't count. Thank you. If at first you don't succeed, try again. There's another bunch of, I almost combined baloney and malarkey at the same time. Malarkey. It's nonsense. It is nonsense. You have to know what to do and then do it. And so most everything that I share with my clients, I do. That's how I know it works. That's how I know it works. I'm going later on today, and I'm going to exchange a nerve system update with one of my colleagues. And we did it last week. And, Dr. Rupert, you go see a chiropractor? You better believe it, since I was 23 years old. Last time I had a medical examination was May 1994. It was for a life insurance policy. And I haven't been to a medical doctor for an exam since then. There's no need to. Only time I need a second opinion is when I'm not comfortable with the first one. And so far, I don't need a second opinion. But I love having my nerve system tuned up so that I'm firing on all cylinders and that all facets of my life are in my control. So I mentioned earlier I work on TMJ and cranials because the cranial bones house your brain.
Hold that thought, Doctor. We are bottom of the hour break. Bottom of the hour break.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. We're back here. We're here on Friday, the last Friday of the year, 2019. How about that? If you haven't read Donald Trump's letter to the Speaker of the House, you really need to read it. This letter will be read and studied for generations into the future. That's how important this letter is, really. We got the full text there, I believe. It's supposed to be anyway. Last time I checked, we were missing a couple of pages, but we'll get that fixed. It's a very important letter. Also, if you have arthritis pain or joint pain, you need an energy clinic. Quite frankly, you do. Everyone with arthritis pain gets relief. Some get complete relief. Most get complete relief. Some get only partial relief, but some's better than none, isn't it? The energy cleaner will work. I offer a 90-day money-back guarantee. That should give you some peace of mind. So check out the energy cleaner. Start out the new year right with an energy cleaner, a mattress pad to go with it. I'm shipping a couple out today. And get your new year off to a great start with an energy cleaner and a mattress pad. Details at my website at thelibertyman.com. Yes, I do offer a 90-day money-back guarantee. You can place your order at my website at thelibertyman.com for your energy cleaner, your mattress pad to go with it. Using PayPal, MasterCard, Visa, you can call my toll-free order line 24 hours a day. Here it is, 800-592-9543. I say again, 800-592-9543. Visiting with Dr. Lynn Wilbert. If you have a question or comment regarding health-related matters, just give us a call at 800-313-9443. You want a private consultation with Dr. Wilbert? Well, just call him directly at 314-495-6480. Let's continue, Doctor.
All right, John. I mentioned that I went last week for a nerve system tune-up, and I've had this question on a number of occasions. Why would you continue going to a chiropractor when everything seems to be okay? I'm feeling fine. But if you base your health on how you feel, that's a mistake. It's as big a mistake as basing your health in the hands of a medical doctor based on a blood test. That's not enough information to make an informed decision. And so I liken nerve system updates, and some is better than none. It's like the average person would not wait until their engine in their car blew up before they change the oil. But it's necessary to change the oil. Anywhere between 3, 4, 5, 6,000 miles, you have to change your oil. That's the life of the engine. Okay, that makes sense. Your car is not moving right now. Only the clock is moving. So it requires periodic maintenance. So does the most sophisticated system ever. That's called the human organism. It requires periodic maintenance. Like every other machine, homes, you name it, it requires periodic maintenance if it's in use. If it's not in use, it requires more maintenance. And so when you don't get the required periodic maintenance, then you're kind of flying by the seat of your pants. Yeah? I'm exercising, I'm going to the gym, I'm eating right. But did you hear that he suddenly died of a heart attack? He was so healthy. Now, that sentence doesn't make sense. You cannot die of a heart attack and be healthy. In fact, you were so sick that the brain did not get a chance to carry out the contract that it had with the heart. I will give you any condition. I will donate some body parts and some organs just so you can stay here. But if you check out, we got to check out too. And the brain knows that. Oh, did you hear she suddenly died of a heart attack? She was so energetic and so healthy and died of a heart attack? No, she wasn't healthy. She may have been energetic, but she wasn't healthy. You don't die of a heart attack when you're healthy. Still the number one condition of death in this country. And so everything your body does is an attempt to tell you that you're heading toward a heart attack. That's the destination you don't want to get to. But that's the message your body is bringing to you. Your body is the messenger, and it will never lie to you. Your subconscious can't determine whether your conscious mind is lying to it or not. It can't think, judge, or reason, so it doesn't know what you say is true or not. So be careful what you say. So I'm back to here I am. I'm looking at my life. I'll be 48 in a few months. I'm already there because I count the 9 months in gestation in my mom's belly. And so when I was 50, when I turned 50, that was a daunting age. I said, wow, man, you got less life to live than you lived already, given, average age is 80 to 85 in this country. I got less to live. I don't like that thought. I changed it. I'm only a third of the way through, so if the planet's here, I'll be here until 150, and I'm still working on it. But I feel wonderful at 2048. And so knowing that I set the intention, I had to change my lifestyle. At 50, I weighed 290 pounds. I went to a suit store, 52 off the rack fit, 42 pants off the rack fit with no alterations. I put it back. And I just did everything I knew to do in terms of how your body metabolizes what you put in. It's supposed to do that. And so today, I got on the scale, John. I kind of surprised myself, but I'm redistributing now. I'm a slim, trim, 6 feet, 200 pounds. And I haven't been 200 pounds since I was at my fighting weight, my martial arts days. But everything still fits. My wardrobe still fits. I have 18-inch neck and a 36 off the rack. And I'm comfortable with that. So I'm redistributing. And as I redistribute, I'm implementing the things that I know will help me achieve my desired health and wellness and longevity goals. And so it's called shoring up the weaker area. See, in systems management, you're only as efficient as your weakest system. Well, most people have heard this. The chain is only as strong as its weakest link. It's the same principle. You have to shore up the weaker system in order for the system overall to maximize its efficiency. Yes. I mean, that was a little engineering talk, but that's how I look at a system. It's called a system. Any breach in the system is going to affect any aspect of the system. I used to work on in tool design and remanufacturing defective parts for McDonnell Douglas. And I would go through each stage of that assembly process in order to figure out what it was. I was a engineering tech, electrical tech over in St. Charles for McDonnell Douglas, and one day my supervisor pulled me and put me all on the rework projects. Oh, this one didn't work, rework. And after about 3 weeks, I'm going, excuse me, Steve, any reason why I don't get a new project? I don't get to design a new circuit board? He said, Leonard, you're my best troubleshooter. Why would I not have you here? And all of a sudden, my perspective changed. Oh, I'm the best troubleshoot. Give me some more stuff to troubleshoot. It's not the easiest thing to do. I mean, you go into an old house as an electrician, your best bet is to rewire the entire house as opposed to try to find some of that old 1900 wiring. It's just going to be very, very arduous. And so I take that same principle to analyzing what's going on in the body. What system needs to be shored up? See, again, the weakest system is going to affect the overall system. And so you shore up your weaker areas, and then you soar with the areas that you love doing. Let's say it's exercise, or if it's teaching or sharing knowledge. You know, that human interaction is invaluable in terms of growth. That's why communities are so important. So nerve system updates are necessary for everybody, just like your car needs a tune-up. It doesn't matter what kind of car it is. So you don't have the advantage of everything stopping at any time. Once you're conceived to the moment you expire, your system is working every second that you're alive. Your heart is designed to last 5 lifetimes, just by design alone. I didn't make this up. Some researcher came up with this. And I said, okay. It beats every second or so from the moment it was there to the moment it doesn't beat. And it's designed to last for 5 lifetimes. And we kill it in less than 1. Something wrong with that picture. And so I mentioned earlier that I do a lot of TMJ work, and I want people who are listening to me to see if you're clenching your teeth. See if your shoulders are holding hands with your ears. If one of those two things are happening, you're about ready to knock the imaginary bear out your face. And so you step back and you breathe, and you say, there is no bear. It is only me. And I control whether there's a bear or not. Now, if there's a real bear, you're not going to sit there and think about this. You're going to get up and run. I will I won't challenge a bear. You don't stand a chance. I don't. Maybe Davy Crockett did. I don't know. I wasn't there. But no, you run from the bear, and that's what less than positive emotions are. They are imaginary bears that you created. And if the bear's chasing you, you're going to respond by running. Blood pressure goes up, blood sugar goes up. The blood from the organs gets shunted to the muscles so you can keep running as long as the bear's chasing you. And eventually you get exhausted and you wear out and conditions set in. That's par for the course. That's what happens. That is what happens. And so monitor your teeth clenching. And so I'm sharing, I think we were in Sedona, Arizona for this teaching session, and I'm sharing with a bunch of advanced practitioners the TMJ. Again, the TMJ causes all kinds of symptoms, neck, headaches, blurred vision, hearing, everything, because it's such an important joint. And when I was doing the research, I looked into the anatomy book, and the picture of the hip bone and the picture of the temporal bone on the side of your head was the same. And I go, how is that true? And I thought, I remember way back in embryology, there were a set of circumstances where your bone development, they were called somites. And they migrated from each other to the head and to the pelvis. And believe it or not, your temporal bone and your hip bone were once the same bone. Let me say that again. Way back in your embryonic development, your temporal bone and your hip bone was once the same bone. And I did a TMJ demonstration where the mouth opens just a few inches and then it doubles or triples, and everybody goes, wow. And on break, she was a student at the time. I remember her name like it was yesterday, Carla Gibson. She said, and I wasn't on Facebook at the time. She said, you know, Doc, I just went on Facebook. And according to what you said, all of us were at one time butt heads. And I fell out laughing. I said, Carla, that's true, because I gave them a handout that showed the exact shape of the temporal bone and the hip bone. See, when you clench your teeth, I guarantee you, you're clenching your TMJ and your glutes too, and you're ready to run and fight. You're going to sympathetic stress mode. Imaginary. And so, Paula, you know, if I were on Facebook, I would write back, yes, we were all a bunch of buttheads, and some of us never grew out of it. And she fell out laughing. It's true. Some of us could not get happy this time of the year if happy landed on them. This is the season to at least pretend like you're happy and share some love and some peace. I love it this time of year because most people do. They pretend to be more loving and more kind and more sharing and more caring. How about we extend that 365 and a quarter days next year, and then the next year, and then the next year, and see how you feel, see how long you live, see how humankind changes. You can't change anything out there. You can only change what's inside of you. You can only change you, and nobody makes you do anything, not even children. You can force them, but you can't make them. Make is like a makeover. You ever seen a makeover? You come out different, totally different. A home makeover, a facial makeover, a makeover is a makeover. It's a different event. And so that's what life is. We're here as human beings, being human. We're here for one reason. That's to learn. To learn. Well, what are we learning? We're learning how to be. We're learning how to be. And so far, I haven't figured out anything better. I haven't heard anything better. We are learning how to be the perfect energy beings that we were when we first came here. Wow. Wait, pause. Some of you stop breathing. I can hear it through the phone. You stop breathing. We're learning how to be the perfect energy being that we came here as before we had all the crap dumped on us, all the nonsense, before we had a conscious brain to fill it with stuff that's not true. So life is a journey of learning. Who loves learning? Everyone. You stop learning, go find your spot where you're going to eventually lay after you stop learning. We're here to learn the lessons, and I can tell, if you're listening to this phone call, I can tell that you've learned from every lesson that you've ever had. You've learned from every experience that you've ever had. You learn the lesson, and see, if you don't learn the lesson, you don't go to the 6th grade or the 7th grade or the 8th grade. You get to repeat the 4th grade. I remember there were some guys in the 8th grade when I was graduating, they should have been in their 3rd year in high school. They're still in the 8th grade. Some of us get to repeat that lesson over and over again because we haven't learned. We don't assign learning to life. If you lived through it, it made you stronger. If it didn't kill you, it made you stronger. It took me hard.
Hold that thought.
Long time.
Hold that thought. We got a break.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcast. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
We are back, ladies and gentlemen. Jaron Moore here with Public Broadcasting on Friday, the 27th of December, visiting with Dr. Lynn Wilbert. If you need a private consultation with Dr. Wilbert, he'd be glad to talk to you. Just give him a call at 314-495-6480. Doctor, we're down to the last 3.5 minutes, sir.
My, how time is fun when it's flying by. I always think, wow, how are we going to get through this hour? What are we going to talk about? But it always works out.
It does.
I'd like to encourage everyone to go to the website and look up this, type in Bruce Lipton, like Lipton Tea, Lipton, Bruce Lipton, and he has an amazing website, and just navigate through there and look under the biology of beliefs. And then he's written a number of things. He used to be a molecular biologist at the University of Minnesota, and what he was seeing in the laboratory just didn't match his scientific expectations, and so he decided to deviate and just expanded beyond what I knew before I met him. Every cell in your body is a transmitter and a receiver, like a little mini computer. You're not aware of this, just like you're not aware of how many red blood cells you got right now. You didn't know that a bunch of them expired because they were at their 120-day recycle period, and then you have to go to the recycle bin, and you don't know any of that. But there are cells that take care of that, and so under biology of beliefs, he shares, the fact that beliefs drive behavior, and that's true. Beliefs drive behavior. The question is, what do you believe? And sometimes modern science has shared with us some things that's not necessarily true. And so there's a movie called Osmosis Jones. It's half movie and half cartoon. The movie character is Bill Murray. He's a curator at the zoo. His daughter comes to take care of him, and he's standing at the monkey cage, and the monkey knocks the boiled egg out of his hand. It lands in the straw. He picks it up. The monkey grabs it. He grabs it back from the monkey, and he eats it. And on this boiled egg is the most dastardly virus on the planet, and his goal is to take down a human in 24 hours. He has to get to the subconscious, through the subconscious, to the hypothalamus, and the hypothalamus is the internal organizer. Your thalamus is the external evaluator. Your hypothalamus determines is it an emergency or not. And so he's traveling through the system, and he gets to this room called the subconscious mind. And this is a clip on his website. I'm going to look for it today so I can tell you exactly which way to go. But I know I know it's there because he is just brilliant. There's a room, the subconscious mind. He opens up the room, and in this room is giant-sized Dolby surround sound picture screens of Bill Murray's every experience. He's going, oh my goodness, oh. He gets to the other room, closes the door, leans against the wall, all out of breath. He said, my goodness, this cat was sick before I got here. That's what makes us sick, is that we relive memories that didn't make us feel good, just the way it happened, and we think to live longer. The next memory you relive and it didn't feel good to you, you have the ability to imagine that it
we're out of time.
That way.
We're out of time. Thank you, sir.
Reimagine. Awesome.
That's it for the day. That's it for the week. Medical supplies, energy, cleaning, essential oils. Now, while you can, your firearms ammunition. Never, ever give it to guns. Please have a fun, safe, productive day and weekend.